So without any further ado, let me now invite today's instructor, Mr. Karan Jagtiani. He is the founder and president of Revolution Software Development Club. He has over 2 years of experience in web development and has created various production applications. You can connect with him through LinkedIn and find some of his projects on GitHub. Both the links are given in the description box below. So let's begin with the workshop. Over to you, Karan.
Thank you, Ritu. Thank you for the introduction. And I hope everyone is really excited for this Mean Stack workshop series. So today, as you can see, it's the day one of this Mean Stack series. So as you may already know, today we will be conducting the session on Node.js. So we'll go over as to why use Node.js, what is Node.js, and of course we'll have the hands-on session as well. So there will be a hands-on session after this presentation. So before we get into that, I'll just want to give you a brief as to what exactly the mean stack is, or how the actual applications are developed, and how these production applications that we normally use, like the platform that we are using right now, so YouTube, or you can say WhatsApp or Facebook, any of the platform. So they use a architecture called as 3-tier architecture. So basically, as you can see on the screen, there is a client, there is a server, and there is a database. So what actually happens is the client, that is us, we are the users. So we send a request to a server located at a particular location. We usually don't know their locations. So we send a request to that server. So on that server, the processing is done of our data. So whether it be me sending a hi message to my friend on WhatsApp, so it actually goes to the WhatsApp server first. It performs some processing on that data as to it identifies from whom this message came to, now to whom this message has to be sent. So it does some processing on that, and then it also stores that data. So of course, when you close down the WhatsApp application and when you open it again, so those messages are not deleted, right? So they are stored in a database and on your local storage as well on a phone. So that is part of the client side. So basically, yes, the data is stored on the database, it comes back to the server, and server sends it back again to the client. So a 3-tier architecture, you can say. So how is this 3-tier architecture going to be laid out in our application that we'll be building? So yes, we will be building a actual application in these set of workshops. So today is Node.js, as you know. So yes, if we try to relate that 3-tier architecture to the mean stack, so you get this Angular, Node.js, and Mongodb. So this is so front to back. So data is sent from Angular to Node.js, and I'm not sure if you can see this or not, like if you noticed or not, but Express is also over here. So mean stands for Mongo, Express, Angular, and Node.js. So over here you can see Express is also part of this server. So we'll get into like what exactly Express is. We'll be learning that today. And at last, we have MongoDB as our database. So tomorrow we'll be covering the MongoDB, like a hands-on workshop on specifically on MongoDB, all the functions related to MongoDB, whatever we'll be requiring in our application, and how to connect it to Node.js. So all these connections, how the data is exactly being sent from Angular to Node to MongoDB, back to Angular, back to Node, back to Angular. So we'll be looking at exactly how this is done in this workshop series. So yeah, let's move forward. So what is Node.js? So some of you may be wondering as to why we are learning this. What is Node.js? Why should I learn this, right? What is the need? Like, why should I learn this? So basically, Node.js is a runtime environment, you can say, used for backend development. So as we saw, it is used for the server-side coding. So yes, it is used in backend development primarily. And it is built on top of Google's JavaScript V8 engine. So you may know the Chrome browser, right? The Chrome browser, which most of us, we use Chrome browser, or other browsers as well. Like there is a browser called as Brave, or there is a browser Chromium. So all these browsers, they are built on top of the V8 engine. So it is a open source JavaScript engine made by Google. So Node.js also is built on top of that same engine on which our browsers are running, like Chrome. So yeah, that is basically it. So that is it about Node.js. Then next we have Express. So in the mean stack, like MEAN, so E. So what is that E, right? So that stands for Express. So basically, Express is an application framework for Node.js only. So basically, I will get into what exactly, like how exactly we'll be using Express and why is it required? Like why can't we just do it with Node, right? So it is used for building the REST APIs of our application. So now some of you may be wondering like what is REST, right? So we'll look at that now. Yes, so REST basically means representational state transfer. That is the full form. You don't need to remember that full form, but just for your knowledge, I have written it here. Basically, the meaning of REST is exactly as to what the example I gave of WhatsApp. So WhatsApp, it uses a different protocol, but you can say it follows a same type of architecture. So WhatsApp uses socket and we'll be using HTTP. So there's a difference between the two as to what is socket and what is HTTP. So in our application, just remember that we'll be using HTTP and not anything else. So basically, see, we have a client. They may be using Angular, they may be using something else also, like React or native HTML and CSS. It can be anything. They send a request to our server running Node.js, or it can be anything like Apache server, or it would be running PHP. So it sends a request to the server. Then the server may directly respond back and never go to the database also, because a lot of times they have validation, like data validation is there. Like before sending a request to the database, it validates over here only, and if it finds a error, so throw it directly back, request response, don't even go over here. Then sometimes the data is correct, so now you need to process that and save it in the database. So it sends a request again to the database will respond back to the server, and once the server acknowledges that there was no error in saving that data in this database can also be anything like MongoDB, MySQL, it can be anything. So once it acknowledges that there is no error, then after that it will send a response. So basically a request response process, this you can say cycle, this entire cycle is known as REST. That's it. So a lot of people get confused as to what exactly REST is, or this big you can say sentence. So you don't have to worry about this, what is the full form or anything. REST API basically means this only. It's as simple as that. So there are various types of requests that we can send in this type of architecture. So a GET request, a POST request, patch, delete, and there are many more. So we'll look at like what exactly these types of requests are and why they are used for specific things. So we'll get into that in the hands-on part of the session. And yes, once the request is acknowledged, now when it has to respond, the server has to respond. It has various options to respond in, like JSON, XML. So today we'll be using JSON and not XML. So JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. We'll look at that as well. So I'll show an example of this also, JSON, in today's hands-on session. So this presentation is just to give you an idea about what is Node exactly and why you should learn. So that brings us to our next slide, why you should learn Node. So it is a high in demand technology in today's industry, as well as it is going to be in the future as well. And these are just 6 of the companies that I could fit into this slide. There are way more companies, and you can understand the scale of these companies, right? PayPal, Netflix, Uber, LinkedIn, NASA also uses Node, eBay. There are many more you can say companies that use Node.js in their framework. So you can understand the weightage of this framework and how often this is being used and how many people are using this. So if you are a master at this type of technology, then you can imagine like what are the possibilities, right? So, and this is just you can say screenshot of the Stack Overflow survey. So Stack Overflow, as a lot of you may know, it's a site where you can post your errors or answers as well for those errors. So basically on Stack Overflow conducts this survey every year. It's a very big survey. It asks you a lot of questions. So last year it was conducted. This year it is yet to be conducted. So last year when it was conducted, so the Node.js framework, it was so in the other frameworks, libraries and tools section, it was at the top. So you can see 51%. And below this, you have .NET Core, Pandas, that's a Python framework, TensorFlow. then React Native, Unity. So you can get an idea as to what like the community as well, companies as well, everyone, like how they think about Node.js, right? So yes, now comes the question that what are we exactly going to be building in this workshop series? So it is going to be a to-do list application. So basically a to-do list, like you can create a task. So if you have a day-to-day schedule and you want to create various tasks, so you can create various tasks, then you can view also, like get all the tasks, then you can delete a particular task. Let's say you make a mistake in naming that. So delete it, create a new one. And we also have mark a task as completed. So if a task is being created, so you should also be able to mark it as completed, right? So yes, that is the application we'll be building in this workshop series. And I hope you guys are ready for this workshop. I hope you guys are excited. So put in the chat box if you are excited for this session. So yeah, I will be keeping my eye on the chat box as well. So if you have anything to say, if you have anything to ask, you can ask it in the chat box. So are you guys ready for this session? Let me know. Let me know. All right. Okay. So now we'll be getting into the hands-on part of the section of the session. So I hope that all of you guys have successfully installed Node.js on your system. So this installation guide as well, it was already shared on our WhatsApp groups. So if just in case you were not part of our WhatsApp group, then this link is given down in the description box as well. So you can take a look at this, and like it's pretty simple. It shouldn't take that long as well. So download Node.js on your system, and that is the only prerequisite for today's session. So yes, I hope that everyone's Node.js is completed. So completed, the installation is completed. So now create a new folder. So as this is a hands-on workshop, so I expect that everyone follows along with me as much as possible. Of course, if it's a first time for you, then you may not be able to follow along. That happens. So don't worry, this is on YouTube only. So you can always go back and watch it again. So we won't be removing this video. It will be there on YouTube forever. So you can come here anytime and watch the video again if you want to learn something that you missed over here, or if you want to repeat a topic. So you can always go back and watch it again. So this will be there. So now all we need to do is create a folder wherever you want, on your desktop, on your G drive, whichever drive you want, local drive. Create it, and we'll open a command prompt here. All right. So we'll open a command prompt, and over here, if your Node.js was installed successfully, so in the guide as well, I gave this command, that type this command, see if Node.js is installed. So this is a simple command that you can use for checking. So my Node.js version is 12.19.0. So I believe this is the LTS version, the long-term support version. So if you have a different number than this, which you most likely do, don't worry about it. It will not affect your anything. You will not get any errors or anything. You can completely follow along. So now I'll just do node. So just node in the command prompt I have typed out. So I get this angular bracket over here, right angular bracket. So I just said node, and basically node opened its own command line interface. So over here we can type any sort of JavaScript. It is valid here actually. So if I just do, if you have already watched our JavaScript session, so we have already conducted a JavaScript session on our channel. So if you guys have already watched, so you may know what console.log is. For those of you who don't know, console.log just means print. We have print in Python, printf in C, cout in C++, just like that, console.log. So you may see I got my string and I got an undefined. So why is that undefined, right? So basically this CLI, it expects every line of code to return something, not every line of code, but every statement, you can say. every statement to return something. So console.log returns undefined always. So if I just say 4, it prints out 4 because 4 returned 4 to it. If I say x equals to 3, so I get 3 because now x is equal to 3 and x contains the value 3. So the x was returned, so indirectly 3 was returned. So something like this. I can do arithmetic also, arithmetic, multiplication, everything you can do. So I'll just exit out of this. This is not what we are here for, this CLI. It is just like you can say you can use this for testing or something. So we'll get out of that. So I just use this syntax process.exit. So basically process.exit. So you should know that NodeJS actually is a single threaded application, but it has an event loop which utilizes multiple threads of the operating system. So actually the base architecture of NodeJS is very complex, and we won't be getting into that architecture as to exactly how NodeJS works. We are here for the mean stack, like how mean stack can be used for application development, you can say. So that is the reason why we are here, and that is what we'll be doing. So now there is another command that you need to run, that is called as npm init. So npm space init, just run this command. So for those of you who don't know, npm is the node package manager. So node package manager initialize, so init is initialize. So initialize a node application for me, that is what I'm saying. So package name, so basically what is your application name? So by default it says node.js because that is the name of my folder. So it takes the name of your folder. You can specify. So we will be specifying today to-do app. So to-do app version 1, all right, that is okay. So mean stack application for managing your tasks. We can say this as a description. You can give anything you want. You can keep it blank as well, not an issue. Then we have the entry point. So entry point means that what is the main file of your entire backend or your entire server? What is the main file? Like, where do I go into? Because every program or every software, it has a main function, right? In C, we have main function. So in Python, we don't. That is a different story. But every program, it has an entry point. So for Node, it is asking us for a file name. So I personally prefer app.js. You can use index.js as well. Then test command, we won't be doing any tests over here. Then keywords, that is okay. Author, give your name. Give your name, whatever you want. Then after this, a license as well, choose a ISC. Then we can say yes over here. Yes, it is okay. So it just gives you a like a brief about, like it shows you what you entered. So basically this is what you entered. I can say yes. So nothing, it did not say anything after this. So if I go back to my folder, you can see this file called as package.json. So what is this file? So I'll be opening VS Code over here. So yes, how many of you are VS Code fans? Like, let me know in the chat box. How many of you like VS Code? So I personally use VS Code for every single thing. So how many of you are also like me? Let me know in the chat box. So yes, if you don't have VS Code, not an issue at all. Whatever I'll be doing in this workshop, you can use a notepad as well. You can use Sublime, you can use Atom, you can use any code editing software. So we will be using VS Code in our case. So let's look at package.json, this file. Okay, so as I had mentioned in the presentation, like I'll be explaining what JSON is. So this is JSON actually. So this package.json, you can see by the name itself, name of the file. So we have package.json. So over here, all the things that it showed, see this thing, it has automatically generated this file. So it asks me all these questions, like what is your version, what is your description, what is the entry point. So it asked me all these things and it has generated a JSON file. So based on this JSON file, our application will be running. So you can say this is the configuration of our application. So all these like high level server side, you can say frameworks or runtime environments like Node.js, they have these configuration files. And through these configuration files, Node.js is able to deduct as to what is the name, what is the version. Then after this, if we include any external libraries, so they also have to be mentioned in this file. So we'll look at that later. So now what we'll be doing is we'll just create a new file. So let's just create a new file called app.js. So as we said, our entry point is going to be app.js. So I have to create a file called as app.js as well. So now what I'll be doing is the same thing that I ran in the, you can say, node terminal. So I'll just say hello world basic string. So we'll save this. Now it is saved. Go back to your terminal and say node app.js. So be sure that you are in the directory where these two files are there, app.js and package.json. Make sure that you are in that directory, like in your CMD, and just say node app.js. So I get hello world, whatever I did over here. So now if I want to change this string, I'll just put in my name. Let's just change this and run it again. So I get my name over there. So basically, as you see that every time I'm saving this file and then running node app.js, so that is not really convenient when you are a backend developer, because you have to solve very big bugs and a lot of things you have to take care of. So this is not really convenient. So there is a library called as nodemon. So I'll just show you what nodemon does. So if I run nodemon, I get my string over here, whatever I'm putting in. So I will change this. So I'll just say change and I'll save. Okay. So once I save, it automatically restarted that application for me. So I did not have to run node app.js again. So it's called nodemon. You can, so if you have installed node.js for the first time, like today or yesterday, so you most likely don't have nodemon in your system. So to get nodemon, run this command, npm-g. Let me get this above so it's visible. So npm-g install nodemon. That's it. It's a simple command. -g just means it's a global tag. Globally, it will be installed. So if we don't put -g, it will be installed locally. So -g just means a global, you can say, library. So just run this command. It should take a few seconds and try to run nodemon. So we'll do nodemon. I get changed as well. So all right. Till now, is everyone with me so far? Is everyone with me so far? Just a rain check, you can say. Just want to check on you guys. Is everyone with me? Has anyone faced any issues? So let me know in the chat box. Because now we will be actually creating a server. So till now, no server code has been written. So we'll be creating a server right now. So before that, I just want to get a check on you guys. Like, is everyone with me so far? All right. Okay, nice. So basically, as I mentioned earlier, Express is a Node.js framework. So it is a Node.js framework, and like there is no exe or a setup for Express. You have to install Express as a external module. So Node.js, like just like we have external libraries for Python, we use pip, right? PIP. So here we use npm, so Node Package Manager. So we can have external modules for Node.js as well. So libraries which make our task easier. So libraries are there, a lot of libraries are there, and most of the things that you require for your application, it is 90% already developed. So just to be clear, Node.js is not it will not create a server for you by default. So Node.js by default will not do that. It is an environment. So keep in mind. So we need to write code for creating a server, and there are two ways of doing it. And we'll be using the most the most used one or the most effective one. So for this, we need to create a Express server. You can say Express server. So to install Express is a external module. So npm install, and we'll just say Express. Npm install Express. That's it. You can even use I over here. Npm I, it understands. Like I is short for install. So I use I. just to show you the difference. You can use install as well. It will do the same thing. So yes, let's wait for it to install. It installed pretty quickly. Shouldn't take you that long. And now you can see there are two more files created. One is a node modules file and one is a package log.json file. So package log.json is created whenever you install a external module, and over here all the node modules are created. So it has installed a lot of various modules for us, and all these modules, they are a prerequisite, you can say, for Express. So when you install Express, you get all of these things, and over here you can see Express folder is there. So we'll be utilizing this you can say folder mainly. So that is created, and if we look at package.json file, here another key was added. So if you have already followed along in the JavaScript library, the JavaScript workshop like that we had conducted last year. So over there, I had explained like JSON has a key value pair, you can say. There is a key and it has a value, just like dictionaries in Python. So I am always giving reference to Python because like JSON and JavaScript are very similar to Python. So some of you who may be familiar with Python, so you can get an idea. So dependencies, another key was added, and Express, and whatever the latest version is. So if you're watching this later down the line and not on 23rd of April, so this number may be different for you. But for those of you following along with me right now, it should be the same. So yes, we have Express. So now let's create our server in Node.js. So we'll do, so just follow along with me. This is the syntax for it. So I'll just say require Express. So basically what this line is doing is that it is creating a variable called as Express. So const variable. So it is a variable that cannot be changed later. Like I cannot say Express is equal to something else because it's a const type of, like it has a const data type. So, and we are just doing require Express. So require is a function given by Node.js. So this is the Node.js function, and it helps us to, you can say, import external modules. So in you can say Node.js terms, we don't call these as libraries, we call these as modules. So the Express module, it is being put into this variable. That's it. It's as simple as that. So now we need to create another variable called as app, and we'll just say Express. And Express, like, initialize that variable. So this is a constructor, you can say. So for those of you familiar with object oriented, it has a class, and we are like initializing that with this, you can say, a function. Like this is a constructor. Then after this, we need to say we'll create another variable called as port. So someone in the chat box has a question. So Pranjali has a question that I don't have VS Code in. VS Code, is there any alternative? So yes, Pranjali, there are various alternatives. As I said, you can use anything you want, any code editor. So if you have any code editor, if you don't, then I would suggest installing VS Code itself. It is not too big of a file, and install this. It is a one-stop shop. You can do anything in this. So yes, I would suggest Node.js only if you don't have anything, or else you can use, Notepad++, Sublime Text. You can use anything. All right, so you create another variable called as port. I'll assign this to 3000. I'll explain what ports are. So we'll say app.listen. Over here, we need to specify the port and a callback function. So I'll explain what this is. We'll try to see if this code runs or not. Then I'll explain. So on port, we need the $sign over here, and we'll just say port. So let's save this file, and now we have written like substantial amount of code. So now it is a good practice to see if the code you have written till now, is it working or not. So we'll run nodemon. So I just hit up arrow key to get the previously executed, you can say, command. So now it says server started on port 3000. So basically I created a variable called as port, assigned it a integer, you can say. So in JavaScript, it is called as a number. So I assigned it the 3000 value and I said app.listen. So app.listen, it is initialized with express. So listen is not a Node.js function. It is a express function. So this is part of express. So I said app.listen. I passed in the port over here. So this is a arrow function. So if you are not understanding as to what this exact syntax, like how is it written and what is the meaning of this, then I would suggest you watch our JavaScript workshop as well after this session so that you get a better understanding of syntax like this. But for those of you new, I will explain in brief, like we are creating a function over here. So this is a function. So we are defining a function over there. So this is basically entirely a function. So this is, you can say, a callback. So a callback, like a function that is returned by this app.listen. So in basic terms, you can say a function that is returned by this app.listen function. So that is the basic, you can say, definition of this. Then, all right. So there is Manish is asking, will you be using database in Node.js? Yes, Manish, we'll be using database in tomorrow's session. So stay tuned for that. Today is entirely dedicated for Node.js. I'll be covering all the things that Node.js can be used in the mean stack. So today is dedicated for Node.js. Tomorrow we'll be connecting MongoDB with Node. So yes, then moving forward, we said server started on port. So this is basically backtick. You can call these backticks, and it is located below your escape key. So what this is doing is that we are declaring a string inside which we can call variables. So if I change this to 4000, so keep in mind, I got server started on port 3000. I changed it to 4000. Now it said server started on port 4000. So whatever variable is provided here, it interpolates that within the string. So you can call this string interpolation in JavaScript. So this is also covered in our workshop. So I highly recommend you watch our JavaScript workshop as well to understand this in detail. So yes, now this basic server is done, right? It is completed, it is created. We have successfully created a server in Node.js. But now a question arises, how do I know that this server is created, right? I don't know if this is working or not. I said server is created and Node.js is telling me it is started. But how do I, as a client, know that this has started? So for that, we can write a basic function over here, app.get. And over here, we'll pass request response. I'll explain this syntax. And over here, we'll just say console.log. We'll say base route hit. We'll just say this as a string. So let me save this. No errors, so no syntax errors. So basically what we are saying is, if anyone comes to our server and hits the route called as /, that means nothing. And so what it should do, we are defining over here. So what it should do, we are just saying base route hit. We just want to console.log to test, right? And over here, again, as I said, this was a callback. This is also a callback. But over here, I am specifying two variables. One is a request and another is a response. So if you remember from the presentation given at the beginning, I showed like how the client sends a request, then the server sends a response. So that is exactly what this is. In the request, it captures the request that was sent by the client, and in the response, it has all the functions that we can use to respond to the user. So this may be a little confusing for you. So I'll show that by example only. So now server started on port 3000. So now what I'll do is I'll just open a new tab and go to localhost 3000. So remember, I created a port on, I'm using the port 3000 and I created my server on this port. So just for your knowledge, you can use anything actually, 4000, 5000, you can use 3001, 3002, but because in a standard networking card, there are over 65,000 ports. So there is an abundance of ports, and technically you can have a application running on a specific port. So of course we don't have access to all those 65,000 ports, but I'm just letting you know that you can use any of the ports you want. I'll be using 3000 in our session. So I actually, I did enter, so I'll do enter again. So we are hitting this route, localhost 3000, but nothing is happening because we are not doing anything here. We are just console logging. So if we look at our console, you can see base route hit. So it did log. So basically, it did detect that I hit enter over here. So again, I got base route hit again. So basically a request was successfully captured over there, you can say. So now in order to like acknowledge to the user, so this is not a user friendly application if I don't let the user know, okay, I saw your request. So I should say response.json. Over here I'll put a JSON success : true, and we'll put a message over here. We'll just say base route hit. We'll say this. Now let's see. So what started again, and now if I go back, you can see success : true, message base route hit. So as I said, we'll be using JSON throughout. So for incoming request as well, we'll be using JSON. And over here also, I said response.json. So again, this is part of, you can say, NodeJS only, that it provides a JSON format for responding as well. So for accepting incoming requests, there is this function called as app.use, and over here we'll say express.json. So this is an important line, actually, line number 4. Basically what this is telling Node.js is that we'll be accepting incoming data in JSON format only. So that is what is being mentioned over here. So this is a good practice. This should be done in every application. One data format should be used. We'll be using JSON, as that is the standard nowadays. Nowadays, no one uses XML. So yes, our server is created. We are also able to, I'll refresh it. I get this again. So base route hit. So I got that response back again. So yes, all right. So theoretically, or you can say technically, for any application, you can have all your routes. So as I said, there are various routes: get, post, update, patch. So all these routes you can write in this file only. You can have only one file and have all your logic in this file. You can do that if you choose to, which I don't recommend. So don't do that. Always follow the modularization concept. So modularize everything, have folders for specific things. For database files, there should be a different folder. For requests, you can say routes file, there should be a different folder. So that's what exactly we'll be doing. So we'll create a new folder called as routes. And if you remember, we will be creating a to-do application in this workshop series. So I'll name my route conveniently to-do routes. That's to-do routes.js. So make sure to put this .js as well. We are coding in JavaScript. So to-do routes.js. So we'll have all our to-do routes in this file. So what are those routes going to be? Those routes are going to be create task. Then we have delete a task. Then we have mark task as completed. Mark task as completed, and finally get all tasks. So whatever tasks you have done, like created, you should be able to see as well, right? So get all tasks. So these routes we'll be creating. And over here, we again need express. So again, require that express. Now we need a new type of variable called as router. So we'll do express.router. So I'll explain what this router is used for, and we'll do module.exports equals to router. So let's save this. So basically what this module.exports means over here is that as we created an external file, right? So this external file has to be referenced in the main file, which is our entry file, that is app.js. So how do we do that? So basically we need to mention over here that what are we exporting from this file? So what are we giving out? And over here we need to catch that. So whatever is being sent from this file, the code, that should be cached over here. So the exact code is not replicated, but this router object is replicated. So that is the meaning of this module.exports. and I'll explain what router is. Before that, we'll catch that file over here. So we would have to create another variable called as to do. Let's just say to do. And again, require is used for linking any external, you can say your own files or any external modules as well. So, all right, someone is saying please increase the font size. All right, let's do that. I hope this is okay. Let me know. Let me know, is this okay? I increase the font size a little more. So, all right. So now we'll be creating this to do variable, and over here we'll say routes and /route. So it will autocomplete for you as well. And over here you need to say to do routes. That's it. So now we have caught that in a variable. So this file is caught in the variable called as to do. So now we need to specify to Node.js that use this to do in your, you can say, application. So this routes file, you need to use this in your application. So how do we do that? We use app.use, and we just say name, like given name to do, like a route, you can say, and pass in to do over here. So let's just save this and see if we have any errors. So no errors. It restarted it for me. Server started on port 3000, so no errors. So now this file is successfully linked. You can say this is successfully linked. So now let's create a route over here. Let's create a route similar to this over here. So for this, we'll be using the router.get, and I'll just say slash, and over here we'll catch the request response. Again, a arrow function is there, and over here we'll say console.log get. So we'll just say to do get route. So now let's save this, and yes, just for your reference, again, this is this only request and response, but you can name it whatever you want. You can keep R only, like it is up to you. The convention is you do it this way. REQ means request, RES means response. So now let's test this out. We are console logging to do get route. So again, it restarted. Now come over here, localhost :3000/to do. Run this. So you won't get anything, of course, because we are not responding. If you were paying attention over here, we are not responding. So keep in mind. But if we check our console, we get to do get route. See, we got that route. So to do get route is being console log. So we are sure that the client was able to get to this function. We are sure about that. Now we'll respond. So res.json success : true, and we can send a message, whatever you want. So to do get route. We'll just say this, save this, let it restart. And if we come over here, if you pay attention, I'll just make this a little bigger. So success : true, message to do get route. So you can see that we were successfully able to respond as well to the user. I'll refresh it again. And if I go back to my normal route, I get the base route, which is the application route. So now you may be getting an idea as to how this is going to work. Everything is based on routes only. So if I say to do/to do and it's a get request, so then it is successfully able to come to this part of the file. So now you may be understanding as to how we are going to build this application. So yes, this is how we are going to be doing it. And now let's assign what type of requests we are going to be using for all these features. So these are our features. So how do we map these features to the types of requests in Express? So how do we map that? So this is going to be get, as you can see from the name itself. Get all tasks means just get the data. So a get request is used for just getting the data and not manipulating any data. So create task, we'll be using post request for that. So post means creating a new record in your database or a new document, you can say. So if you are MySQL users, you may call it as a record in your table, and we will be using Mongodb. So that is going to be called as a document in your collection. So collection corresponds with table, document corresponds with a record or a row. So delete task. So there is a delete request specifically made for that. So for deleting a particular request, and then we have mark task as completed. So we'll be using a patch request for that. So these are the various types of requests. There are more, but these are the four that you are going to be needing most of the times. So this is how the mapping is going to be done. So yes, now let's create a post request. So let's try out a post request. So we'll do router dot post now, and we'll keep it as / only. So that it's convenient for us to recognize. So this is actually a convention. So over here, here also you can say like create task, but like as we conveniently have 4 features in our application, we can use these 4 functions, and Node.js is able to detect whether if the route is same, but what is the type of the request, right? So what is the type of the request, and based on that, it will correctly identify which function to go to. So we'll follow a standard convention of just /. So we'll do that. Again, we'll do console.log, and we'll say to do post route. We'll do to do post route. So we'll see if this works or not. So basically, for a post route, you can't just do this, because by default, when you type a URL in your URL bar of your browser, it sends a GET request. So by default, your URL will be sending a GET request. So we can't send post requests through this URL bar. So we can't do that. That is not possible. So basically, we need a external tool or an external software for performing these types of tasks. So before we get to that tool, let me know if you guys are following along or not. So if you are following along, if you have any questions, you can ask right now. So if you have any questions, you can ask. Let me know if you are following along with me. If there are any issues you faced till now, let me know. All right. Okay. I don't think there are any issues, so we can move forward. So as I said, we need an external service or an external software. So there are various softwares for this. There are various applications. So we'll be using Postman. So there is a software called as Postman. And this link, the Postman's link, is given in the description box below. So what we'll be doing is, so Postman has a full-fledged application as well. So we will not be downloading that application. We will be using the web version. So a web version is much more convenient, and it will be faster for you to get access to, and it won't be creating a external software in your operating system. So a web version is more convenient, specifically for a workshop like this. So it is convenient. So now what we'll do is, what you need to do is go to this link. So basically, this link is given in the description box as well. You can come to this link, click on try the web version. Click here. Okay, someone is saying, can you repeat express? So someone said, can you repeat express? So I'll just give a base definition again. Express is a Node.js framework that is used for creating a server that can handle REST APIs, like RESTful APIs. So if you want a clear-cut idea about what I said right now, go back to the start after this live stream. So this, as I said, will be available. Go back to the start, and if you come till this point again, I'm pretty sure you will understand everything that I have covered so far as to what exactly Express is. Then someone is saying, what is Postman? So Postman is a software that is used for testing your APIs. So right now, what are we doing? We are creating REST APIs. So these are REST APIs, and we are creating these APIs. But how do I know that these APIs are going to work when the complexity increases? When I have to send data, process that data, make sure that data is correct or not. So data validation. So for all these things, Postman is just a utility, you can say utility for us as a software developer. It is a convenient software, you can say. So basically now let's take an example. Like if I want to say let name is equal to I want to get the name from the user. So if I want to get this name like Karan from the user, how do I get that? So basically I'll be using request.body.name. So I have to send this name from the client side and catch that in this, you can say, function, in this response request type. So over here, how do I catch it? I use request.body.name. So in order for me to simulate this, like send a dummy name, like send just Karan, I don't want to create a front end right now, because creating a front end, that to an Angular, it will take time. I just want to test my API. So I won't be creating a front end. I can use a software like Postman. So I'll just repeat this step again. You have to go to this link, click on the try web version. So if you click on this try web version, so you should be prompted to put like create a Postman account. So you can create it or you can sign up with Google. So that's what I have done. I have signed up with Google. I would suggest you do the same. It is quicker. So you can create your account, and once it is done, it will take you to this page. So basically you will be greeted with this page, and by default it will be a light theme. If you want, you can change the theme in your settings over here. Change if you like dark themes, so you can change it to dark theme as well. So I prefer dark themes, so I have changed that. And after this, what you need to do is just click on create new over here. So if I click on create new, so I should be prompted with this type of GUI, and for me it is giving a green tick mark, but I am sure that you won't be getting this green tick mark. You will be getting a warning symbol or something along those lines, like an error or something in red color. So over here, basically in the bottom right corner, if you can see my mouse, it is mentioned desktop agent. Click on it and it will ask you to download this desktop agent. So it is a 78 megabyte file. You just have to download this small file and just run that setup file. So it's a setup file, 78 megabytes. Run that setup file, and once you run, it will not even ask you to like next, finish, or where to install. It will automatically install, and it will create an icon on your desktop. So so you guys may need some 2 to 3 minutes to install this software in your system, right? So I won't directly move ahead, and we won't be directly going ahead without you guys having this, like those who are actually following along having this. If you're not following along, or if you are already left behind, as I have mentioned, don't worry about it. This is on YouTube, so you always have this. So yes, please install this desktop agent and run the setup. So by the time you guys do this, what we'll do is we'll have a 3 to 5 minute break, and during this break you can install this as well. And we have our outreach director also with us here, so she'll be explaining as to what Revolution actually does. So yeah, let's have a break of a few minutes. So yes.
Thank you, Karan. So let's take a break of 5 minutes, and during this time, let me invite Zoili Deshpande. She is the Outreach Director of Revolution Software Development Club, and she will talk about our club and what we do. Good evening, Zoili. Over to you.
Thank you, Ritu. Please let me know if you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. I hope you all are enjoying the session so far. And if you have any questions, you can keep asking them in the YouTube live chat itself. Also, after the technical session, we will be having a dedicated question and answer session. So stay tuned for that as well. So here's a brief about our club Revolution and what we do. We conduct sessions like this regularly, where you get to know the first-hand experience of technologies used in the industry. We have conducted various technical workshops on topics like JavaScript, Angular, React.js, and so on. So if you are interested in checking out those workshops, all of them are available on this YouTube channel itself. Also, do subscribe to our channel and make sure you hit that bell icon to turn on post notifications if you want to stay updated on similar sessions that we will conduct in the future. We also post daily technical content on social media, like information about trending technologies, quizzes, memes, news, and much more. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, whichever platform you prefer. We are available on all the famous platforms. All the links are down in the description box. On the other hand, on LinkedIn, we post about our sessions and interview preparation questions, as well as questions which are asked in the GATE exam. We post questions on all the major topics like data structures and algorithms, operating system, computer networking, etc. So if you want to solve a small question every day, it's not much, I know, but it definitely will help you in the long run. Then definitely follow us on LinkedIn for this type of content. You following us, guys, and showing your support will not only help you stay updated, but it also helps us a lot. It motivates us to keep doing this and make more useful content for you guys. So please do follow us and show your support. This is it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Zoe. Let's get back to the session. Over to you, Karan.
Yes. Thank you, Ritu, and thank you, Julie, as well. That was a really great introduction about our club and what we do. So yes, guys, please like this video, and it helps us only. It motivates us to do this more often for you guys. So that is the only motivation that we get from this. Like, we are not getting paid or anything. We are also students. So yes, guys, please like, subscribe as well, turn on post notifications. It really helps us a lot. So yes, now let's get back to the technical part of the session again. So I hope that you guys have downloaded and installed that Postman Agent. So that is called as a Postman Agent. And the reason why you need that agent in your desktop is that desktop or any whatever system you're using. The reason is that like we can't directly send requests to our local host. So this is a local host, right? This is not deployed on the cloud or any particular domain. So that is actually a very like that is a topic that we should keep aside for. Like, there should be a dedicated session for that topic only, like how to deploy a node application on clouds like Heroku or AWS. So if you guys would be interested in that, like how to deploy, like how can you get a link like a www. And how can you actually serve your application on the cloud? So if you guys are interested in that type of thing, so please let us know in the chat box. We will conduct that as well for you guys. So today, as you may know, there is no domain link, like no www. It is a local host, so it is running on our local machine. So basically this is on the cloud, right? This web.postman.co. So it can't really communicate with our local machine directly unless there is a mediator. So basically this is the mediator, and through this it will be connecting with our local host, and by connecting with the local host it has access to this port 3000, and by 3000 it will eventually come to this point as well. So now what we'll do is I'll go over the Postman thing. So over here, once you come to this page, I hope everyone is on this page. Close down this overview tab, and you can close it down and just click on that plus icon. So, and by the way, if you guys want this software on your local machine as well, so the link which we have given in the description, just don't go to the button try web version, click on download app. So you will get this exact, like very similar GUI on your desktop as well. So to become a actual mean stack developer, I would recommend that you guys download that software. But for this workshop, there is no need to like download it specifically. If you are interested in going ahead with these technologies, then I would suggest that you download it. But for this workshop, we'll use the web version only. So let's do http://localhost port number 3000, and let's just do this. Let's see what we get. So yeah, base route hit. So I successfully got this in app.js, as we said, base route hit. So on console as well, we got base route hit, and this is the JSON that we got from this GET request. So just like we get it over here, Postman can also be used for this. But get requests can be tested through this URL as well. But why are we doing this? To test out different types of requests like post or delete. So if we do a post request over here, so there is no post request in app.js file, so that will not work. We need to do /todo. So post request /todo. Just to show you guys, it will throw an error, cannot post slash. So that is, there is no route called as, there is no post route in our, like a base route in our app.js file. So that did not work, but a to-do route is there. So now we'll send. So for some reason, this, I don't know why. So, okay. So the reason why it did not do, like, it is still sending because we have not responded. As I said, we need to respond always. So res.json success : true, and message will be post route. Let's say post route. Let's just print this out. Let's see. So could not get a response, send again. Now I got the response. Post route, it is successful. So that was successful. So yes, nice. Okay, so a post route is also written. So now, as I said, if I want to catch this name variable, right? So let's just do another console log over here, console.log, and I'll print out my name. So whatever name that we throw from the client side. So remember, in this session, our client side is this Postman software. This is our client side. So now I will be printing the name as well. So whatever name is being thrown from the client side to my server. So let's go to this body, you can say tab. So click on the body tab. Then after this, we have various options over here. We'll be using raw. So click on raw. And then over here, click create a JSON object. So as I have mentioned earlier, everything is transported and responded. Everything is in JSON. So I'll just put my name. Okay. So now, as you have put this data over here, now we need to specify that this request is going to be containing JSON data. So till now, it doesn't know that JSON data is going to be sent. So now over here, we need to create a header for this. So every HTTP request, it should contain a header specifying that what type of data is being sent out. So these headers, they can be used for various things. So we can specify what data format it is, and then we can also hide stuff like in the headers. So cybersecurity students out there, headers are also used for hiding stuff. So of course, as it is being sent from the client side to the server side, nothing actually is limited, or nothing actually is hidden, but it is difficult to get to. So those types of headers can be used. We'll be using a simple header over here called as content type, and we'll be mentioning application/JSON. So if you followed along as to what I did, I just typed in type over here, like type. So it like gives me it auto completes, and just select content type. And over here, I just said JSON. So it will auto complete application/JSON. So select that. And now let's test this. I think this is good. Let's test this out. So no issues over here. If we look at our console, I got name : Karan Jagtiani. So this is how data can be sent from the front end to the back end. So this is as simple as that. This is how data can be sent. We can send in anything, like I can send something else also over here. So workshop, let's just do workshop. And this is the day one of the meme stack series. So this is giving me it is mentioning that there is something wrong with this JSON because I need to put a comma over here. So I will put a comma, and through this comma that error is gone. So now before sending the request, we should also check for that, right? So there is another convenient method for getting the getting all the data that is incoming. So we can just do another thing called as console.log request.body. So this is the only thing we'll try for now. So let's send. No errors again. So yeah, whatever data I'm sending in, I get name, Karan Jagtiani workshop. So the string that I passed in. So just like this, you can send in any data that you want. So usually your data object will not contain only two keys and key value pairs. It will usually not be like this. But as I said, you can put in n number of key value pairs over here. So this is the way that data is transmitted from client to server. So on day 3, the third day, on Sunday at 11 a.m., we will be looking at how we will be doing this through a GUI. Like a button will be there, then like how to do this through a GUI, like create an actual application. So that is the day 3 of our workshop series. Today is day 1, so we are just looking at NodeJS and how it works. So yeah, we get name and then we get workshop as well. So yes. So now let's get back to the purpose of this workshop series, that is to create a to-do list application. So what do I need in a to-do list? So basically I need the name of the task, right? So we'll say task name over here. Task name, and I'll just say task 1. That's it, just a random string, and task name and task 1. Then what else do I need? I need the date as well, like the exact time at which this task was created. So I need that data as well. So before that, we'll just send this. So I get task name : task 1. So you can see you can mention anything over here. So yes. So as I said, I need the date as well, but that date, the client will not send that date to me. I will create that date on the server. So I don't want the client to send that date to me from the front end to the back end. I can create that date on the server side as well. So this is a great segue into a point that I would like to mention, that not all data should be sent from the client to the server. So you also need to think from a security point of view, that how much access do you want to give to your user? So you don't want to give your user 100% access to the data, because if that access is given to the user, then any other malicious user on their network maybe can easily, like through a non-repudiation attack, it can easily manipulate that data and send it to your server. And you think that, okay, that is the actual client sending and not a malicious user sending that data. So that is the reason why, like, if you are not familiar with those things, that is fine, but just keep in mind like a basic philosophy, that you don't want to give your access to the data to the user, like 100% of the access. You don't want to do that. So that is just a point from my side. So it's not necessary that you should know everything about cybersecurity. Of course, that knowledge will help you, but still, if you don't know, you can learn through, like, by building applications only, and by finding vulnerabilities later. So that is up to you, but just keep a basic philosophy in mind, that don't give access to 100% of the data to your client. So that is so I will be giving that example only over here. So let's remove all these console logs. We'll keep this one. We'll remove all those lines. And now let's create a object, obj. So this is a JSON object, and we have our task name that will be request.body.task_name. And now I want to create my date, you can say, variable in this object on the server side. So I'll just say date, and I'll say new date. So now if we do console.log obj, save this. If you have any errors or not. So there are no errors. It started directly. Now we'll send. So post route, so message, we got the response. Now we'll look at the terminal. So yes, we get task name : task 1, and date is this date object created, and this is the time at which I created it exactly. So don't be worried about this being not exactly being matched to your computer's time. So there are various time formats as well. So don't be worried about that. We can create a formatter for this, like a date formatter, which can say like 4th of like 23rd of April 2021, and it was posted at 6:08 p.m. So that can be done through this only. So you may notice that why is this purple in color, right? So this is purple in color because it is an actual data type and not a string. So a string is in green, and the data type is in purple. So that is the reason why I have explained this in detail in our JavaScript workshop. So again, I would highly recommend that workshop and that video on. So it is there on our YouTube channel. So yeah, you can refer to that. So for those of you, what am I doing over here? So I created an object which has two keys, task name and date, just like we did in Postman as well. But instead of doing date colon new date over here, I am doing date colon new date on my server side, just to give you an example. So this is not a great example of handling specific data on your server, but from this, I hope that you get an idea that what should be handled on the server and what should not be handled on the server. So this is what we have done over here. So yeah, this was the basic post route. So this will be used for creating a task. So the response will change the response that will say task successfully added. So you can have custom messages over here, successfully added. We'll do this, save, test. So yeah, this is what exactly Postman is used for. You make changes, send it again, then verify the changes that you made. If you get any errors, then you can go back to your code, and Node.js, most of the times it will specify where your app crashed. So yes, if your app crashes, then it will specify the error. So if your app crashed during the session, so I would suggest you go back and watch the entire session. Maybe there was some mistake in the syntax. So mostly your app will crash in this application mostly because of syntax only and nothing else. So yes, task successfully added. So, and some of you may be wondering as to why this success colon true is mentioned over here. So success colon true, that is just a key I'm creating as a Boolean. So in our front end side, you will understand as to why this was created, because till here, this is the actual server side logic. But ideally, what is done is the data is processed. So you can say like creating this date is part of the data processing. And then after this, database logic is also given over here. Database logic. So stuff like date, then input validation, all sorts of things. These can be done during in this. You can say where I've written the comment. So first, you don't need this console logs actually. This was just for demonstrating for you, right? But initially you accept the data, then you process the data, and then your database logic will be there. So dealing with a database, as that is a third-party software, so we don't know what types of errors that may occur, right? So we'll look at those types of errors and how exactly Node.js will connect with the database in tomorrow's session. So over there, if database throws any error, then we should also specify to the user, right, that no, it was not a successful, you can say, post request, it was not successful, something went wrong. So we can do over here like false and something went wrong as well. So this type of, you can say, creation of APIs, you'll get to learn these creation, like how exactly this will be done in the entirety of this workshop series. So if I run this now, I get false, something went wrong. So yeah, I hope that everyone has understood as to how post requests and update requests are created. So get request, update request. So this is the same logic that we'll be using for patch as well. So we'll do a router.patch. We'll do a router.patch. Again, we'll follow the same rule of thumb. Keep it just /. request response, and we'll do a arrow function over here, and we'll just again test it out. So to do patch route, we'll do this, and this time we won't forget to respond back. So res.json success :true, and then message will be you can say task completed, right? Why task completed? Because at the top, if you remember, we'll be using the patch request for marking a particular task as completed. So that is the reason why. Let's test that out. Let's test. So just change this route from post to patch. So task completed. You can use this as well. So task completed. Yes, a lot of you guys are interested in the deployment video. So yeah, maybe we'll do a deployment video on Heroku first, and then we can see the response on that video, and we'll do AWS as well. So we can do that. So yeah, if you guys are interested, so just show us your love, I would say. And once like we are also sure that yes, we should do this. A lot of people want this, then definitely we can do it. That is not at all an issue. So yes, we'll do a patch to this and we'll send. So yes, I get true, task completed. So see, Node.js was able to successfully identify, like differentiate between get, post, and patch based on the type of request that is incoming. So the route is same, but it is able to differentiate. So now what is the type of data that we need? So we will do let obj. So in order to mark a task as completed, we'll need a task name. So which task, right? So request.body.task name. And then over here, we'll make our own boolean called as completed : true. We'll say completed : true. So over here, while creating a task, we can initialize it to completed : false. We can do this also. So see how I am going over my logic and changing the logic of previous routes as well. So you can do that easily with the mean stack, and it is much more convenient than I just demonstrated. So even if I did not have this and I just said completed : true, so it will automatically add that key if it is not already present. So in tomorrow's session, in tomorrow's MongoDB session, I'll give that example as well, that it was not already present, but we can add it in this route. So even if you don't mention created : false over here, because once you create, task is not completed as of yet, unless you specify that task is completed. So if you have not specified here, so you don't have to say false. You can specify true directly while updating the task. So while hitting the update request. So now let's move this above. I'll say console.log, and let's just do obj. So make sure that data you're sending is correct. So it is correct. Task completed, I got again. And yes, task completed, task 1 completed : true. So yeah, here is an example of a boolean as well. So here we use the date type. Here is an example of a boolean as well. So you can use a boolean. And for this, in order for this to work, here we would need to check if task already exists or not. Because if you have two tasks with the same name, let's say I have, I'll give you one example. So let's say I have task 1, and I have again another task called as task 1 only. So now in my patch route, if I say I want to mark task 1 as completed, in the database, what will happen is it will find the first entry, or it may find both the entries depending on our logic. So traditionally, the logic is find the first entry. So this will not be marked as completed. So basically, but if you have a different approach, like find and update all the tasks, so in that you may face an issue, because this task, it may have a similar name, but it was created at a different date. So you don't want to mark this task as completed. So over here, we can create a logic that if task exists or not, so we can have that logic as well. Or otherwise, we have another logic called as ID. So for those of you who are already familiar with databases like MySQL, or if you're familiar with MongoDB, it always assigns a unique ID, a identifier for every record or collection or a document, you can say, in your database. So ideally, we should be taking the ID over here so that this issue does not arise. Because if you have two tasks with the same name, but I want to mark this one as completed and not this one, so then I should be using an identifier like an ID. So over here, we can do this as well. So underscore ID. So tomorrow you'll get to know why this underscore is used here. I'm using an underscore on purpose. So we'll do underscore ID. And over here, we can specify a integer also, like, but MongoDB has an alphanumeric string. So we'll do ABC. Let's say my ID is ABC. So if I send, so I get ABC. So through identifiers, you can specify which exact task you want to complete. So basically, the thing I mentioned over here, that is what server-side programming is about. That is the gist of it. Like, you have to make sure that your data is the data that is entered. It does not get manipulated in ways that you don't want it to be manipulated. You should always have the entire control over your data manipulation or data deletion or even data addition logic. You should always have control over that, so that there is nothing that can happen in your application that you did not think about. So this is the gist of like server-side programming. Like, you have to think about stuff like this. So yeah, I hope that you guys understood that logic. And similarly, we can create a router.delete as well. So a delete function. Again, we'll follow the same procedure. Request response. Then I'm pretty sure now each and every one of you must be familiarized with this syntax. For every route, we are using this syntax only. So again, just for verification, it is a good practice for initially having a console log. So we'll say to do delete route. Yes, a to do delete route. And then after this, which task do you want to delete? So again, we'll create an object. So const obj. It's a good practice to use const instead of let or var. I can use let also. I'll demonstrate let. So let is also a way of declaring a variable in JavaScript. So I'll use let this time. So I will do ID equals to request.body._ID. We'll do console.log. Save this, check your route. Does it work? Okay, so we got a error over here. Okay, so in a JSON, you can't use equals to, it has to be a colon for that. So sorry about that. Simple mistakes like this can be easily overlooked. So yes, we again got ID equals to ABC, and it is still loading over here because again, we did not respond back. So res.json. So now you must be familiar with what see, like if I don't respond, okay. So it is technically an invalid request because no response was returned from the server. So Postman again is you can say a nifty tool or nifty utility tool for catching stuff like this, because this is not something that we mug up. Like, we can't mug this up. This is something that has to be done logically. So logically, you should know that request response, like a request is sent, then a response is sent back to the user. So I don't remember this. This is like completely logical. So always that is another one of my perspectives, you can say. Always try to remember stuff logically. It will stay with you for longer duration. Let's say if I could not get response, again sent, task deleted. And if we come over here, I got ID equals to ABC. So yeah, it's as simple as that. We have successfully created a server in Node.js using the Express framework. So yes, that is what we have done. We have successfully done this, and that it is. I strongly hope that you guys were also able to follow along with me. If not, don't at all worry about it. After this live stream is over, this video will be there on our YouTube channel. So you can watch this how many ever times you want to watch. So that is up to you. So yes, I hope that everyone was able to get till this point. Let me know in the chat box who got till this point in the session. Who got till this point in the session? Let me know. Like who were able to complete all the routes. I am just curious, you can say. I hope that this was helpful to you guys. Now, I hope that everyone has understood what Node.js is, how it is used, why it should be used, which companies use this. So now I hope that you have understood the importance and how easy it is to code a application. So you can create anything that you can think of with Node.js. So any application you can think of, it can be done. So I hope that everyone understood today's session. It was helpful, even if it was helpful to you guys by even 1%. So it is a job well done for me, because I was able to provide some sort of knowledge to your knowledge base. So if that is the case, then yeah, let me know. Let me know if you guys understood and if this session was helpful for you guys or not. I hope that it was. So yes, this is basically how to create a Node.js server with the Express framework. So the E and the N part of mean is completed, you can say. And tomorrow, stay tuned for tomorrow's session. It will be on MongoDB. So a database, a new database. If you guys are familiar with MySQL, that is a SQL database. MongoDB is a NoSQL database. So SQL constraints are not applicable for that, and SQL vulnerabilities are also not applicable for MongoDB. It is a scalable database, more scalable than MySQL. So maybe we'll go over a difference between MySQL and MongoDB as well in tomorrow's session. So stay tuned for that. And if you turn on notifications on this channel, it will be the most convenient way for you to tune in to the workshop. And yes, tomorrow at 5 p.m. we'll be having MongoDB, and on Sunday at 11 a.m. we'll be having Angular. So yes, this was the day one of the Mean Stack workshop series. So yes, Ritu, we can end this session now.
I take over from here. Thank you, Karan. Now let's start the question and answer session. Please feel free to ask your questions in the chat box. Karan will directly answer them.
Yes, so, yeah, you can ask your questions.
Can go ahead.
Yes. Yes, Anupriya, if you got lost somewhere in between, again, I would say that you can watch the session, you can watch it back, and I'm sure it must be a syntax error only. So like it is not at all expected that you get this in the first go. So if that case happened with you, it is not at all an issue. You can watch the session again and make sure that your syntax is correct. So yeah, that's what I would suggest. Prathamesh, if you're getting cannot find module error, so I think you have not you did not run this command called as npm I express. So run this command in the directory where your app.js and package.json is located. So run this command npm I express. So then it will be solved. Yes. Thank you, Gautam. Thank you. Thank you, Harshita. Amaya, thank you. Deepak, to answer your question, it will be completely answered in tomorrow's session only, but to give you a brief, it is 100% worth it, according to me. So if you want to know my personal opinion, it is 100% worth to learn NoSQL. If you want me to give you an example, if you guys know this bank called as Yes Bank. So like recently they had ported their entire database from a SQL database to a NoSQL database. So even banks are nowadays using MongoDB. So you can imagine if a bank is committing to like changing their entire database from a SQL to NoSQL, then you can imagine how important it must be for them to get to a NoSQL database. So yeah, that is the example I would give to explain like how important it is. Amaya, you are asking that patch means update. So technically, patch means you can say it is traditionally used for update. Put can also be used. So there is another router. As I said, there are others as well. Put can also be used for updating. Patch can also be used for updating. I can use post only for updating. So I can say create task over here, and in my update route I can just say again router.post, and instead of create task I can say update task, and over here in Postman I will be hitting like this, create task. This is another method which is not recommended, but you can do that as well. So that is just a convention. You can say patch and post and get, but you can do everything with one route also. So that is also possible. So yes. Yes, Prem, thank you as well. How much time is needed to become an expert in MERN? So you are asking about MERN. So yeah, only difference between mean and MERN is Angular and React. So if you know Angular, it is pretty easy to learn React. If you know React, it is pretty easy to learn Angular. Both are frameworks. One is by Google, one is by Facebook. So both frameworks, you can use any framework in this mean MERN stack, you can say. We'll be using Angular, of course. So to answer your question, how much time is needed? So there is no limited amount of time to be an expert at mean. I myself wouldn't consider myself as an expert, even though I have 2+ years of experience in the mean stack. I still wouldn't consider myself as an expert, because still once in a while I learn new things. So you will be learning new things each and every day. So if you are regularly coding in the mean stack, so yeah, I myself wouldn't call myself as an expert. And even after 4 or 5 years, I still wouldn't say that I'm an expert at mean stack, because expert generally, in my opinion, means that they know everything about everything. So that is very difficult to get to. So yeah, that's my answer for that. How are we going to deploy this app? So Diven is asking, how are we going to deploy this app? So this application, to-do application, we're going to be deploying in this series. But if you guys want to deploy this application only, we can create another session for you guys, like how to deploy. We can do that. A 1 hour session would be enough actually to deploy on Heroku. So we can do that. So if you guys want to deploy this application itself, let us know. Sometime in the future, we'll conduct a deployment session as well. And I'll make sure to use this application only that we create to deploy on, let's say, Heroku. So yeah. Yes. Thank you, Amaya. Yes, thank you, Ashish. Thank you for tuning in. Yes, Rohit, thank you. So yes, yeah, I think we can end this session. I don't think we have any more questions. So yes, we can end the session.
Okay, we hope everyone's questions are answered. If you get any more questions in the future, you can contact us directly. Our numbers are there on the WhatsApp groups. Regarding the certificate for this workshop series, an assignment will be given on the day 3, which you need to submit in order to receive the workshop completion certificate. There will also be a participation certificate, so you guys don't need to worry. There will be 2 certificates this time, one for participation and one for completion. At the end of day 3, a quiz will be taken to check your knowledge that you gained from this series, and the participation certificate will be issued. Let's end this session on a positive note. Thank you, Karan. It was a very informative session. We hope that all our viewers gained some knowledge from it. We appreciate you for taking out valuable time from your schedule to share your knowledge with us. And thank you everyone for being a part of this day 1 of the Mean Stack Workshop series. We hope you enjoyed it and gained some valuable insights about how to work with NodeJS and create a robust backend for any application. So see you guys tomorrow at the day 2 of our series. where we will be covering MongoDB. So thank you all.